There are truths many women hold silently when it comes to intimacy, things they often don't voice, yet deeply hope men would understand. These aren't just hidden desires, they're keys that can unlock deeper connection, richer intimacy, and lasting satisfaction. Behind closed doors, it's not only about physical chemistry, but also about understanding, presence, and the unspoken details that shape the entire experience. When men truly grasp these silent wishes, relationships transform, not only in the bedroom, but in the bond that follows. Emotional intimacy is often the unspoken foundation of what women truly desire in a sexual relationship, and it's something many men overlook. For women, sex is not just a physical act, it's an experience that involves the heart, the mind, and the spirit just as much as the body. A woman can be physically attracted to someone, but if she doesn't feel emotionally connected, the experience will often fall flat, leaving her unfulfilled. This is why so many women secretly wish men understood the weight and power of emotional intimacy. It isn't about being overly romantic every second, but about creating a safe, genuine space where she feels valued and understood. When she senses emotional closeness, the act of sex transforms into something far deeper than mere pleasure. It becomes a way of bonding that strengthens trust, connection, and love. When a man invests time in truly knowing her, in listening to her thoughts, in understanding her emotions, he lays a foundation that naturally carries over into the bedroom. Women want to feel that they are not just desired for their bodies, but appreciated for their whole being. That feeling of being seen makes her let down walls, open herself fully, and engage with a level of passion and vulnerability she might otherwise withhold. Without that emotional groundwork, she may go through the motions, but she won't be fully present. And when she's not fully present, neither person experiences the true depth of intimacy that could exist. There's a huge difference between physical closeness and emotional closeness. Physical closeness may satisfy an immediate desire, but emotional closeness builds a memory that lingers, something she will replay in her mind long after. Think of it like this. Passion without emotional intimacy is like a spark that burns quickly and fades. Passion with emotional intimacy is like a fire that glows steady, warm, and unforgettable. Women secretly wish men knew that when they feel emotionally bonded, their physical desire intensifies. The trust built outside the bedroom spills into what happens inside, making every touch, every kiss, every glance more powerful. Another part of this is presence. Emotional intimacy isn't always about grand gestures or deep conversations. Sometimes it's simply about being truly present in the moment. A woman can feel it when a man's mind is elsewhere, when he's distracted or detached. On the other hand, when he is fully attentive, when he looks into her eyes, listens to her breathing, notices the subtle signals, she feels that connection running through every fiber of her being. This presence makes her feel cherished, and it deepens the intensity of the experience more than physical skill ever could. At the end of the day, women want men to know that emotional intimacy is not a bonus or an extra layer, it's the very heart of satisfying intimacy. When a woman feels emotionally safe, loved, and respected, she surrenders completely, not because she has to, but because she wants to. That's the secret many women never say out loud. The path to physical passion almost always begins with emotional intimacy. Foreplay is one of those things that women often wish men understood on a deeper level. It is not just a prelude, not simply a warm up before the so-called main event. For women, foreplay is an essential part of intimacy. It is where connection builds, anticipation heightens, and desire transforms into something consuming. When men rush past it, thinking it's optional or less important, they miss the truth. Foreplay is what allows her to fully open up, to let her body and emotions align with the moment. Without it, intimacy can feel mechanical, rushed, or incomplete. With it, the experience becomes layered, textured, and unforgettable. Foreplay is not limited to physical touch. Women often crave the mental and emotional build-up that starts long before the bedroom. A lingering look, a playful text during the day, a whispered compliment, or even the way he wraps his arms around her while she's cooking. These small acts are foreplay in their own right. They set the stage, making her feel desired, valued, and wanted. When a man takes his time to create that atmosphere, it tells her she is not just another conquest, but someone worth savoring. This emotional and psychological build-up makes physical intimacy far more electrifying. Then comes the physical side. Women want men to know that their bodies respond differently and arousal is not always immediate. The The touches, the kisses, the exploration of sensitive spots. These are not just indulgences, but necessary steps to prepare her both physically and emotionally. When he takes his time, when he doesn't rush, her body reacts more intensely. She becomes more receptive, more engaged, and more willing to explore deeper levels of intimacy. It's not about dragging out the moment for the sake of it. It's about understanding that her pleasure thrives in patience and attention. What women secretly wish men knew is that foreplay is a way of saying, I care about your experience. It shows generosity, patience, and genuine desire to make the encounter pleasurable for both partners. A kiss that lingers too long, hands that trace her skin gently, whispers in her ear, laughter between breaths. All these little things are not just preludes, they are the heart of intimacy itself. To her, they mean effort, attention, and passion that isn't self-centered. When foreplay is skipped, women often feel overlooked, as if their pleasure is secondary. But when it is given the time and energy it deserves, it unlocks her deeper passion. Her body responds more fully, her mind lets go of tension, and the act becomes not just physical release, but emotional fulfillment. And here lies the real secret. When men invest in foreplay, they don't just make her happier, they also elevate their own experience. The chemistry becomes undeniable, the connection unbreakable, and the satisfaction unforgettable. At its core, foreplay is about more than touch. It is about time, patience, and presence. Women silently hope men recognize that when foreplay is embraced, intimacy ceases to be a fleeting moment and instead becomes an experience that lingers long after it ends. Communication is one of the most underrated yet powerful elements of intimacy, and it's something women secretly wish men understood better. Many people think communication ruins the mood, that talking about what feels good or what doesn't takes away the magic. But in reality, communication is what makes intimacy magical. It's not about turning the bedroom into a classroom. It's about building trust, creating comfort, and ensuring that both partners feel satisfied and understood. For women, silence can sometimes feel like disconnection, but communication, even in its subtlest forms, can bring her closer, make her feel seen, and allow her to relax fully into the experience. When men communicate openly, they show vulnerability, and that vulnerability is attractive. Asking simple things like, "Do you like this?" or "Does this feel good?" might seem small, but to a woman it signals care and attentiveness. It reassures her that her pleasure matters just as much as his. On the other hand, communication is not only verbal. It's also about listening to her non-verbal cues, noticing her body language, the rhythm of her breathing, the way she reacts to each touch. Women long for men to pay attention to these subtle details because they are constant signals of what's working and what's not. Another layer of communication happens outside the bedroom. Many women secretly wish men understood that talking about desires, boundaries, and fantasies beforehand makes intimacy easier, not harder. When these conversations are open, a woman feels safer and more willing to explore without fear of judgment. She knows her voice is valued, her needs are respected, and her boundaries won't be crossed. That safety is what allows her to surrender and enjoy the moment fully. Without communication, assumptions take over, and assumptions often lead to disappointment or frustration. But good communication is also about tone and energy. It doesn't have to be clinical or mechanical. Whispering what you want, expressing admiration, even giving playful direction, these things can heighten arousal and deepen the bond. Women secretly crave those words of affirmation during intimacy because they fuel her confidence and remind her she's desired. Even small phrases like, "You're amazing," or "I love this with you," make her feel valued and connected. On the flip side, poor communication or complete silence can create distance. If a man never asks, never checks in, or never responds to her cues, she may feel as though her needs are secondary. That can build frustration over time, even resentment. But when communication flows naturally, intimacy becomes a shared experience rather than a one-sided act. It turns into a dance where both partners are in sync, constantly responding to each other's energy. Ultimately, women wish men knew that communication doesn't kill passion, it builds it. It transforms intimacy from a routine into an experience where both partners are fully present. It shows respect, attentiveness, and love. And in that atmosphere, she can let go completely because she knows she is not just being touched, she is being understood. Confidence is one of the most attractive traits a man can bring into intimacy, but what women secretly wish men knew is that confidence without gentleness often backfires. True intimacy requires a delicate balance, strength paired with sensitivity, assertiveness paired with attentiveness. Women are drawn to confidence because it conveys security, decisiveness, and desire. It shows that a man knows what he wants and isn't afraid to pursue it. But if that confidence slips into arrogance or dominance without care, it can make her feel objectified rather than cherished. What she really wants is a partner who can lead with assurance while still holding space for her comfort and pleasure. Confidence, in this context, doesn't mean being perfect or having all the answers. It means being comfortable enough with oneself to guide the moment without hesitation, while also being humble enough to listen and adjust. When a man touches her with assurance, kisses her with conviction, and moves with intention, she feels desired. But when that same man slows down, reads her signals, and treats her with gentleness, she feels safe. That combination makes her trust him more deeply and allows her to give herself fully to the experience. Women notice when confidence is authentic versus when it's just a mask. Authentic confidence is quiet and steady. It doesn't need to brag, rush, or overpower. It's in the way a man maintains eye contact, the way he listens without interrupting, the way he's not afraid of vulnerability. These subtle signs tell her that he is secure in who he is, and that security makes her feel at ease. In contrast, false confidence often comes across as forceful or self-centered, leaving her feeling disconnected. Gentleness, though, is where confidence finds its true power. A gentle touch communicates more than passion, it communicates respect. It tells her that he values her body and her emotions, that he's willing to take his time and not just focus on his own satisfaction. Gentleness doesn't mean weakness. In fact, it takes strength to be tender, to control intensity, to hold back just enough to make her crave more. Women secretly wish men understood that gentleness heightens anticipation, makes the experience more intimate, and deepens the emotional bond. There's also something profoundly attractive about a man who can shift seamlessly between confidence and tenderness. One moment he's firm, decisive, making her feel the strength of his desire. The next he's slow, attentive, kissing her softly, reminding her she is cherished. This dynamic creates excitement, unpredictability, and depth that many women long for. It shows versatility, emotional intelligence, and true attentiveness to her needs. At the core, confidence and gentleness together create trust. Trust is the key that unlocks deeper intimacy. When a woman trusts that her partner will lead with strength, but never push beyond her comfort, she can relax completely. That relaxation allows her to immerse fully in the moment, to let go of inhibitions, and to experience intimacy at its most profound level. This balance is what women silently hope men will master, because it doesn't just make sex better, it makes the connection unforgettable. Effort and attention to detail are the silent languages of intimacy, and they are things women deeply wish men understood. For many women, passion is not measured in grand gestures or elaborate techniques, but in the small, consistent ways a man shows he is invested in her experience. The truth is, women notice everything: the way he looks at her, the way his hands explore her body, the way he remembers what she liked last time. These details may seem insignificant to him, but to her they carry immense weight. They say, "I'm paying attention. You matter. Your pleasure is important to me." That level of awareness turns intimacy from something routine into something memorable. Effort is not about trying too hard or forcing the moment. It's about being present and intentional. When a man takes time to learn what excites her, he demonstrates genuine care. Maybe he notices the spots that make her shiver, the rhythm that makes her breathing quicken, or the kind of touch that relaxes her completely. These observations show attentiveness, and attentiveness builds trust. Women secretly long for men to know that their bodies are not puzzles to be solved quickly, but landscapes to be explored with patience. The effort to understand her not only enhances her pleasure, but also deepens the emotional connection between them. Attention to detail also goes beyond physicality. It's in the way he creates the atmosphere, the soft lighting, the music, the scent in the room, or even the way he speaks to her. These subtle elements heighten her senses and tell her he cares about the experience as a whole, not just the act. Women appreciate when intimacy feels thoughtful, when the environment mirrors the intention. It makes her feel valued, like she is more than just a fleeting desire. Even the smallest details during the act matter. The way he kisses her slowly instead of rushing, the way he touches her face with tenderness, the way he whispers her name. All of these make her feel cherished. Women notice when a man takes his time, when he pays attention to how she reacts, and when he adapts based on her response. It's not just about physical satisfaction, it's about creating an emotional memory that lingers long after the moment is over. Without effort and attention, intimacy can feel transactional or hollow. But when a man puts in the effort, when he pays attention to detail, it communicates love and respect. It says he values not only the outcome but the journey. Women secretly wish men knew that effort is not optional. It's essential. It transforms sex from a fleeting release into a shared experience of discovery and joy. At its core, effort and detail are expressions of devotion. They tell her she is not just desired but deeply appreciated. That's why women crave it so much. Because when a man shows effort, she doesn't just feel satisfied, she feels treasured. And that feeling is what makes intimacy unforgettable, powerful, and profoundly bonding. The moments after intimacy often reveal more about connection than the act itself, and this is something women quietly wish men understood. For many women, sex is not just about the physical experience, it's about what follows. The emotional afterglow that reassures her she is more than just a fleeting desire. The closeness afterward, the soft touches, the gentle words, the willingness to linger, all of this matters profoundly. When a man rolls away or becomes distant immediately after, she can feel dismissed as though the connection was only about release. But when he stays, holds her, and continues to nurture the bond, she feels valued, cherished, and secure. That period after intimacy is not trivial, it is a vital part of the experience. It is where vulnerability still lingers, where the body is relaxed and the emotions are raw. Women often wish men knew that holding them close, stroking their hair, or simply lying in silence together means far more than words can express. These gestures reassure her that she is not just physically wanted, but emotionally respected. It strengthens trust and deepens the bond in ways that passionate intensity alone cannot achieve. It's also about emotional presence. After sex, many women crave conversation, even if it's lighthearted or minimal. It doesn't have to be deep confessions. It could be laughter, sweet compliments, or playful teasing. This exchange allows her to feel emotionally connected, reminding her that the bond extends beyond the physical. It creates a sense of intimacy that is sustainable, something she will carry in her memory and long for again. When a man engages with her after, it tells her that the connection doesn't stop once the act is over. It continues unbroken and whole. Physical closeness also plays a powerful role. Cuddling, kissing her forehead, or holding her hand may seem small, but they speak volumes. They say, "You matter to me beyond the moment." Women secretly wish men realized how comforting and reassuring these acts are, especially when vulnerability is at its peak. For her, intimacy is not complete without this tenderness. It's during these moments that she feels the safest, the most loved, and the most connected. Neglecting this stage can create emotional distance, leaving her feeling used or undervalued. But embracing it, staying present, being affectionate, and offering warmth turns sex into something more meaningful than just physical release. It becomes an expression of love, devotion, and respect. This is why the afterglow matters so much to women. It transforms intimacy from an act into an experience, from desire into connection, from pleasure into love. At its essence, the time after sex is a reflection of how much she truly means to him. Women long for men to understand that this is not about being clingy or demanding, it's about emotional completion. It is the final chapter of intimacy that ties everything together. And when a man embraces this moment, she doesn't just feel satisfied, she feels cherished in the deepest sense, carrying that feeling long after the night has ended. Intimacy is never just about what happens in the heat of the moment. It's about the layers that surround it, the emotions that flow through it, and the connections that linger afterward. Women secretly wish men understood that the smallest gestures, the slowest touches, the moments of eye contact, the willingness to listen, and the effort to stay present are what transforms sex from something ordinary into something extraordinary. It's not perfection they are seeking, it's presence, care, and authenticity. When a man brings emotional intimacy, patience, communication, confidence balanced with gentleness, attentiveness to detail, and tenderness after the act, he doesn't just satisfy her physically, he nourishes her soul. That is the difference between being remembered for a moment and being cherished for a lifetime.